Hi everyone, how are you doing today? It's going to be a get ready with me style video, and I wanted to shop my stash. I just felt compelled to kind of go through my stuff a little bit, pull out some things that I know I haven't used in a while, and I thought maybe a fun theme for this one might be iconic products. Iconic products I've been overlooking for a little while here, both drugstore and high-end. These are things that I think are known to be pretty popular, going pretty far back. I think you'll see what I mean as we get going here, and we'll just kind of be able to reassess what we think of these products. As I look at my little basket here, it's some stuff that has really been hot for a time, but maybe isn't being talked about quite so much right now, so I thought this would be fun. First things first, for the foundation, I'm going to be using my NARS Sheer Glow. This is one that I really do think is a beautiful looking foundation, but I rarely reach for it. I have it in the shade Light 4.5, that's Vienna. Wouldn't mind having a pump with it, I can say that. But I know for a lot of people, like, you've known about this foundation or you've used this foundation for a long while. Maybe it was years and years ago that you first picked it up. For me, it was only, I want to say, within the last maybe year and a half that I got my hands on this. I need a pump. It's really fun to finger paint my face like this, but it's so hard to have a concept of how much product is actually going on your face. I grabbed out my Real Techniques Expert Face Brush. I just have the mini handled one here. I really need to wash the RT Go brush, so let's grab something clean here. So I'd call it a medium coverage for sure. But we come away with a pretty, like, kind of gentle luminosity, do we not here? See what I mean? There's a little sheen to the skin, just kind of natural looking. It's not super glowy, but it's not super matte either. And the texture on my skin is definitely not like sticky by any means. I'm liking that. I think that's nice. Now here's what I pulled out for the concealer, and this really isn't so much an underused product for me. I reach for these quite a bit, but it's my Maybelline Instant Age Rewind. I've got my Brightener one here, which is getting way down to the bottom, and I also have the Skin Tone color in Fair. I thought I might incorporate both of these today. What I love so much about these concealers is just how like lightweight they are, yet they do pack in a nice amount of coverage. I'm sticking some of the Brightener shade or just right in my darkest area there. And then I thought I might pull the Fair just out this way a little bit more. I feel like I can get away with using a decent amount of this product and it'll never look like way too much on my skin. Little brightening here around the nose as well. I think I'll just go with that same brush just to dab over this and really maintain a lot of that coverage. Some of the best brightening concealers out there. When I'm thinking I want to look lifted and brightened and awake, this is really kind of a go-to thing here. Beautiful product, thin, lightweight consistency, not too sticky, not too dry. Like, there's a reason why that is such a popular product. Maybe one of the most iconic drugstore coverage things out there, honestly. Okay, here's something that I pulled from my collection that I remember kind of being semi-critical about in the past, like, not because I didn't like the product, because guess what? I've hit pan on this powder. I think it's a good powder, but I think the hype on it is a little overboard for what it is. I don't think it's that unique. I think it's a nicely textured powder, but I feel like I can kind of get a similar look, similar texture effect from L'Oreal True Match, frankly. But this is the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish Skin Perfecting Micro Powder, and I have it in Fair. The nice thing about this tone for me is that it sets the under eye pretty nicely. It's a nice light powder, kind of the effect I would get from my Laura Mercier translucent pressed powder, you know? I can set those areas where I've really made an effort to brighten without like deepening them up with a skin tone powder that's going to be the same all over the rest of my face, you know? If you want to maintain the brightness, this is a good thing. I really, honestly, don't feel like I've used it that much, but yet I have hit pan on it. But there we go. Basically, that's a T-zone thing. I definitely feel mattified right now in that area, but that's gonna help my staying power. Any kind of powder used in that way really benefits my overall look for all day wear quite a bit. For bronzer, I felt like there were a few directions I could go with this, but for me, Bahama Mama from the Balm seems like a good approach here. This is a pretty iconic product from this brand, maybe a little more widely buzzed about on YouTube a few years back, but it's a really really good bronzer. It's rather deep, and as you can see, it's not too warm. It's a very contouring friendly type of bronzer, but I'm gonna go ahead and get some of this on my hairline area. It's super pigmented, so I'm just literally giving a quick dab into the product and then buffing it out here. Looks super natural to me. So did any of you guys make that taco salad I mentioned in one of my recent videos? It was the one about the grocery store makeup. I love that stuff so much. But what I'm loving the most of all is the cooking Bub's been doing on his Blackstone grill. That was his big Father's Day gift. And fortunately, he loves to cook, so it was like, you know, playtime for him over the weekend to cook for us on there. We started out with the first meal being just like burgers and hot dogs and fries. This is just a big flat top grill that you can do. It's like 36 inches. You can do so much stuff on it. He did a big breakfast brunch type thing on Sunday. And then on Sunday night, we did a shrimp fried rice. It was so good. He's done a lot of like researching, I think, different techniques and different recipes. Yes, I just gently contoured my nose there with this brush. I don't like to contour my nose too hard because I have like a bony little thing right here, and when I apply dark powder to it, it's like the little bone sticks out more. You gotta know what is and isn't worth accentuating on your own face. But anyway, I feel like he's done his homework on this grill pretty extensively, so he's got a big to-do list of things he wants to try. For blushes, I saw many iconic blush things in my drawer, but I thought I would go with a drugstore one that definitely has had a lot of popularity, and it's this Milani Rose powder blush. These, I mean, I feel like you can use these a lot and they still keep their shape because the imprint is just so deep with that thing. But this is the one called Romantic Rose, and it's kind of the most like neutrally dusty rose. I'm gonna apply this with my e.l.f. blush brush here. Gentle, kind of neutral pink looking color, so pretty. Overall, the look is really quite matte right now. We're gonna spice this up in just a moment. And you know a nice thing about this, and really any of the drugstore products I'm bringing up in this video, the fact that they are still around is saying something. The drugstore stuff really seems to cycle through faster in terms of getting discontinued. Like there's just a quicker turnover with drugstore makeup, I feel. Because there were some things I was running into in my collection where I'm like, oh, I'd love to pull that in, but I don't think it's available anymore. So the iconic products that are still standing, I mean, that's really saying something. For a highlighter, I think one of the more iconic ones in my collection that sort of is going under the radar now is probably from Becca, and this is the one in Opal. This is their Opal highlight. Everybody loves a good highlight, and I feel like Becca really kind of got the whole vivid highlighter thing going. Only takes a little bit, very, very prominent, profound effect with these. As you can see, I'm barely like touching my brush to my skin here and just kind of buffing that shade right from the high point here of the cheekbone right to the top of the cheek. I mean, that is gorgeous. I have not used this in quite some time, and I need to. Again, the advantage to going over it and buffing it in, it just keeps it a little more natural looking. And if there's anything left on your brush, sort of take that to the forehead zone. Then you get like just a little barely there glow. A little bit on the Cupid's bow as well. Tell me, what is your favorite Becca highlight? I know Champagne Pop has had a lot of popularity. Opal was the one I first thought of as really catching on with a lot of people. For my setting spray, I don't think it gets much more iconic than Urban Decay All Nighter. This is the Summer Solstice scent, but this is one of the first kinds of setting sprays I really remember getting into. I felt like it totally worked in terms of extending the wear of your makeup. I always do feel that way. I remember this being so proven to me when I went to like an outdoor concert and I was sweating, and I thought at the end of the night when I look at my makeup, it's probably gonna look like it's all disappeared, but I had used this and I thought, wow, I think the setting spray really did help. So I'm gonna do a few mists of this. It doesn't take much. And you'll find it does take the edge off of like the powdery finish on your skin a little bit, but not as much as some of the more dewy sprays will. This one I think is just more about locking it all in and really helping your makeup be there for the long haul. Here's a brow product that I got kind of recently that I think is pretty iconic. It's the Glossier Boy Brow. I have this in the shade, it's just brown. And I'm gonna try to just use this and this alone in my brows today. I'm trying to think also, which came first? Was it this or was it, I think Benefit Gimme Brow might have come out before this. But both products are probably kind of responsible for this big trend from pretty much every brand. You know how it seems like almost every brand has their skinny brow pencil, right? When you really start looking, almost every brand now has like their little tinted brow gel, and many of them a version that has a small brush like this that makes it pretty user-friendly and easy to get through it and get it all filled in. I'm not saying this would be enough to fill in everyone's brows, like if you're starting with hardly anything there. This may feel a little out of control for you, but for me right now, I'm actually kind of digging it. It's working for me. I'm trying to use the tip of it a little bit. I haven't even dipped in for any more product, but there's definitely some good hold with this. Like I've got quite a bit in my brows and it just feels like they're not going anywhere at all. To me, this really looks like my brows, but just a little more thickened up, a little more evened out left to right. For eye primer, I'm gonna go with Milani Eyeshadow Primer. I mean, this is always kind of like tops on my list for eyeshadow primers, but I think it's a really popular product out there. I would call it iconic. I think it's one of the most important products Milani makes. Here's a little bit of a throwback for eyeshadow products. I thought I was going to reach for a palette at first, and then I thought, no, let's actually get into that singles drawer because I bet something's going to like pull you back in to something that was really popular years ago. And for sure, these L'Oreal Infallible singles, these are still around. Like these are being sold at least at Walmart. I noticed on their website they had the full range available of different shades. So I pulled out a few that I had. I have Endless Pearl. This is the one that's not quite so shimmery. Amber Rush, one of the most popular shades, I think. This is really like the superior rose gold eyeshadow. And then I have Golden Emerald here, so I just was in a greenish sort of mood. And these shadows were just like huge once upon a time. The way they work, you twist the top off, there's this little stopper in there, and they kind of feel like a pressed pigment type vibe. And I'm gonna take this Golden Emerald and just start out patting that on my outer corner. We're gonna work this shade into the crease. This is gonna be like kind of the main part of my look today. And then I was thinking of coming inward with a little bit of the Endless Pearl and maybe sort of sealing off the crease, blending out the crease with the Amber Rush. What do you think, guys? So pretty, really pigmented shadows. The strength in this line, their focus in this line is definitely shimmery shades. There's also a really good shade, what was it called, for a one shadow look, if you love taupe. The shade called Bronzed Taupe. That's a really good one shadow look. Amber Rush is too. By that I mean they're shades that can go all over the lid, but kind of provide a nice little bit of depth when they hit your... Oh my gosh, my phone's ringing. Was not expecting my phone to ring there, but I just kind of like, here's what I've done. I took the Golden Emerald, patted it on like the outer 2/3 of my lid, and then also used the flat brush to get it up into the crease. And then I think as I was talking there on the phone, I just pulled in this E25 and used it to kind of blend out my edge a little bit. But end result is a green that's definitely like identifiable when you're semi-close to me. From a distance, it comes off kind of just like a nice, subtle, deeper shadow. What I thought I might do next is take the Amber Rush shade, and I didn't want things to get too muddy, like placing it on the lid side by side with the green, but I thought I might just take my small E36 brush here and let some of that shade just come up around the border. When you sheer this shade out, it's a very different story from when you apply it super opaque. I mean, it looks like that when you put it on full out. I mean, it's so beautiful. So this isn't really like, oh, the fullest extent of Amber Rush, but it kind of gives me a little bit of a transition out from the olive. And then this is the Endless Pearl shade that's kind of like a, I don't know, a semi-matte sort of shade. And I thought I'd pat that in just for a little lightness right in here. Just kind of letting it meet up with the olive and just start to overlap the edge. For me today, I think I'm gonna leave it this way, but I could totally see a beautiful, like kind of smoky olive look going all the way under the eye too. And something I like about these shadows also, they're very pigmented and they are kind of, they're not your traditional super hard pressed down eyeshadow. Like they've got the stopper in there, they're a little more loosely pressed, but yet I don't get any fallout. That's really great. I think an iconic eyeliner that at one time was very raved about, and I don't hear quite so much about it anymore, is the Bobbi Brown Longwear Gel Eyeliner. I have it here in the shade Black Ink, and I thought I'd just use that as my liner today. I got this probably about a year ago. I was wanting to try it because I saw a really nice looking technique with that being used to tight line. Like a really long wear, kind of, you know, applying it up under the lashes to the upper inner rim, and that does work really well with this product. But it goes on so easy. Why do I not use this more? The little tiny brush I'm using actually like came as a free gift with my eyeliner when I ordered it. It also came with a couple of mini eyeliners in different shades. Sometimes it pays to order off the brand's website. Do you ever notice that? Just in terms of like the free gifts and sometimes different products bundled together. So I've just got that all along the lash line, a little bit thicker toward the outer part of the lash line and thinner going in. And here is the mascara I chose, y'all. This is another one that I feel like tons of people talk about. It's the Essence Lash Princess. This one's the False Lash Effect mascara, although there's like a waterproof variety and there's maybe an original version. I'm not sure what they call it. I've tried these on and off. They haven't been like a tip-top favorite of mine, but I've liked them well enough. And I noticed I had this one laying around that I hadn't opened, so let's give it a shot. Really do like the shape of the brush. Nice tapered tip. I'm thinking False Lash Effect is a bit of a stretch, but it's not a bad mascara, okay? Coat number 2 helped out quite a bit though. Builds on itself well. It's a fine line building up mascara on when you don't feel like you have a ton of lashes. Sometimes you can just go and go and go and it looks great and they look thicker and they look longer and you look like you got more lashes. Sometimes you just end up like screwing yourself over because it looks like you have like 5 lashes when it's all said and done. I know in the scope of YouTube, like you look at a person who does like 1 or 2 shadows on the lid and it's like, okay, so what? That's nothing special. But honestly, to me, like that's kind of the way I like to wear color a lot. I like it just kind of understated, but still pretty. My takeaway with this mascara is 2 to 3 coats is really actually great. I'm loving that. I'm gonna keep using that. Got a little, I don't know what happened here, but it didn't look quite so perfect in the crease area here. I might have just roughed it up a little bit with my eyelash curler, I don't know. But now I need to add more over here too. Love that shade so much. Gonna keep all the focus above the eye today, so I'm not doing lower lashes, I'm not doing lower shadow. And guys, here's another iconic thing that I would have included probably before the setting spray, but I forgot. It was under a couple of other things here. It's my Bare Minerals Mineral Veil. This is actually the hydrating mineral veil. I remember hearing about that from Shelby Wilson, that it was so good. It's literally the finest powder ever. Like it pours like liquid out of the holes. I just thought maybe here toward the end I would just take that over everything. It's such a nice setting powder. I was playing with just purely Bare Minerals over the weekend and definitely incorporated this into my look then, and I thought it was so beautiful, just a gorgeous soft focus, fresh looking setting powder. It doesn't really take away your radiance, but somehow helps the evenness. And I just used that with my BK Beauty 107 brush. This is kind of a nice all-purpose brush. It's a little smaller than my e.l.f. complexion brush, and it can be nice for contour, nice for blush, nice for highlight even. Really cool size on that one. For the lips for this look, I was thinking about pulling in something kind of earthy. One shade that came to mind is Max Whirl. This lipstick was kind of, I feel like, repopularized by Kylie Jenner, and then shortly thereafter her whole makeup line took off. But remember when MAC lipsticks were just more hot, period, you know, like everybody had to have those certain ones. I'm thinking earlier YouTube days for me. I recall having the Whirl lip liner before I ever got into the lipstick. And this is a matte shade. I kind of wanted to apply it and keep it a little lighter in the center of my lower lip. And then I think I'll take my lip liner and maybe just neaten it up a little bit around the edge. A lot of times this feels like the best, easiest use for lip liner for me, is just to go in after the fact and clean up the edges. Alright, and there is my finished look. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it maybe brought a few different products back into your memory. Maybe you've got some of these sitting around in your collection. It's fun to discuss those things that were maybe more popular in a different YouTube era and bring them back now and see who actually remembers and loves these things still. A few of my favorite rediscoveries through this were the NARS Sheer Glow Foundation. I want to use that more. I want to pull out my Becca Opal more. And also my Mineral Veil, and kind of getting back into Bare Minerals products in general. Like I said, I was playing with that over the weekend, and there's just so many good products in that line. But thank you guys again, and I will see you soon. Bye.